Hi, and welcome to FPL First, giving you the latest news, reviews, and tips on everything EPL and FPL. Thanks for joining me in this episode for the EPL Gameweek 3 preview and all of my predictions for the coming round of FPL and EPL. All coming up. To begin with, let's take a look at this weekend's round of games, starting with the title favourites Man City, who will be looking to make it 3 out of 3. Despite their big summer spending, Wolves will likely give a good game for City, but will succumb to their class and will likely lose heavily to the superior City side. It will be interesting to see the team Pep goes with, opting to start Jesus and Aguero last week, but one thing is for sure, Aguero has to be a starter after his hat-trick last week. The next clash sees two teams still looking for their first win of the season, and despite on paper Arsenal being superior, let's not write off West Ham too early, as both teams would be wanting to prove a point, and with the return of Wilshere and Perez to the Emirates, they could also play a big part. The remainder of the game sees Everton, Bournemouth and Liverpool looking to stay undefeated in the EPL, with Leicester and Brighton looking to make it 2 wins in a row. The rest of the teams on Saturday will be looking to get their first win of the 18-19 season. Sunday sees Chelsea and Watford looking to keep a 100% record, with Crystal Palace wanting to try and get back to winning ways, and will be likely disappointed after a loss against Liverpool in the Monday night clash. Fulham, Newcastle and Burnley will all be looking for their first win of the campaign on Sunday. However, it will be Monday's night action which sees the game of the weekend, with last year's number 2 and number 3 battling it out at Old Trafford. If we look at my pick of the weekend in more detail, we can see that this game has not finished in a draw in the last 6 games, and it was Spurs that came out on top in the last fixture between these two EPL powerhouses. Spurs will be making it 3 out of 3 if they win on Monday, whereas United will be looking to bounce back with a win after a disappointing defeat against Brighton. Pogba will likely be captain again for Manchester United this game week, however it will be interesting to see if he can bounce back with a good performance, considering he said that he was mentally not ready for the last game, which in my opinion is a bit of a bad excuse for a World Cup winner. Kane has the most goals in the last 5 games of all the players in both teams, with 4 games in his last 5, and considering he broke his August duck last week, there is a good chance that England striker could be good for a goal this game too. I have identified Lukaku as United's key player because with Sanchez out, he will be leading the line for Man United and will need to perform if they are to stand a chance of winning against Spurs, with me picking Kane as Tottenham's key player for the previously aforementioned reasons. Alright, so the big question again this week is who should be your FPL captain? Let's start with Arsenal's Aubameyang. If there was ever a time he should be in your team, it has to be now, due to the fact that Arsenal's next fixtures are very winnable. Also, Arsenal are playing West Ham at a very good time, as West Ham's defence looks very vulnerable at present, conceding very easy goals in their last 2 games. So therefore, in my opinion, Aubameyang should be in your team at least, and if you have the confidence to go with it, he could potentially be your captain too. Moving on, my next player I've picked is Kane, as he is always a good option for getting a goal in the EPL. Also, after scoring last week, he'll be hungry to get another goal this week, continuing to break his duck in August. However, playing United away is no easy task, and I believe the United defence may prove to be too good for Kane, so therefore I do not believe he'll get on the score sheet this game week. Next, I've included Mane in this list, as he is the most informed Liverpool player as it stands, and he seems to be good for goals at present. Also, with Liverpool playing Brighton this weekend, it has to be a big home win in my opinion, and surely Mane will be central to that outcome. Aguero is my last pick on this captain list, as he had a great last game week and I expect him to do well again this week. However, Wolves will not be that easy away from home. They have got quite a good home defensive record, and I feel like Aguero won't get the time and space that he was allowed in the last game week. However, he is always good for goals and will obviously be hungry to maintain his scoring form. Despite all of these options being very plausible, and with Mane and Aubameyang the better options this week, my captain is going to actually be Salah. He looked hungry for goals last game and was unlucky not to be through one-on-one with the keeper twice. Therefore, with Liverpool playing at home against Brighton, I think this is the week Salah steps up and brings the form and goals we all saw last season into this EPL season. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with my selection, and also let me know who are you going to be going with your captain this week. Okay, there is a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible, but my player lookout this week is David Silva. He should now be guaranteed to start for City with De Bruyne being injured long term. Despite only playing 63 minutes against Huddersfield last week, he was joint top in the amount of chances that he created and scored a wonderful free kick to top it off. Furthermore, last season, Silva was involved in 39% of City's goals away from home, meaning the omens are on his side going into an away fixture against Wolves. The other 4 players I've selected are all recommended by the FPL Scout on the FPL website, so check out their blog for a detailed explanation of each player. Next, a quick look at the main transfers. In sees Richarlison, Aguero and Mendy all topping the table. This therefore concurs to the fact that all of these players' prices have gone up by at least 0.2 million this game week. I had a long conversation on FPL First Live about player prices and transfers, which you can check out on the link which I will put above. The main player news is the fact that Vardy got sent off last week and therefore will be banned for 3 matches, so if you have him in your team, putting him on the bench would be a wise before the deadline tomorrow, or obviously transferring him out. A good alternative could be Ings, who I suggested in my player focus in the table just before. Please check out the FPL website for more details on Ings and his game week 3. Next is the main transfers out this game week, and it is no surprise to see Eriksen and Firmino in this list, 2 players I have removed to this game week. For a full in-depth analysis of why I removed these 2 players, please consider watching the video in the link now. As previously mentioned, Vardy is banned for 3 games, so he makes this list as well, as does Sanchez due to his high price tag and injury, meaning he's a doubt for the game against Spurs on Monday night. Okay, lastly, here is my predictions for the weekend. Not an easy week to predict the games, but I've tried my best based on all the research I have done. The one game you may disagree with is Everton losing away from home, but Bournemouth at home are a tough opposition and Everton look shaky at the back. Lastly, here is my bet for the weekend. I've gone with a much safer bet this week with the predicted bet on the screen now. Please note this is my opinion and is not guaranteed to come off, and of course, only bet what you can afford. Anyway, enjoy the weekend's action, and if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and share the content with your friends, and obviously, if you're new here, think about subscribing to the channel for future content being released on a weekly basis. My link for Twitter is in the below description, so please be sure to follow to keep the conversation going outside of YouTube. And until next time, my name is Joe, and this has been FPL First.